In 1965, Singapore was a speck on the map, a swampy port city expelled from Malaysia, riddled with poverty, corruption, and ethnic tensions. Its GDP per capita was $500, its streets chaotic, its future bleak. Yet within decades, this unlikely nation became a global powerhouse, boasting skyscrapers, top-tier education, and a $400 billion economy. The architect of this miracle was Kuan Yew, a Cambridge-educated lawyer whose iron will and pragmatic vision built a modern nation from scratch. From slums to a financial hub, Singapore's rise defied odds. Lee's blend of discipline, innovation, and controversial control shaped a model envied worldwide. To understand how a tiny island outpaced giants, we must explore Lee's story, his early struggles, bold reforms, and enduring legacy. Join us to uncover how one man's vision turned Singapore into a beacon of progress. Is his legacy a blueprint for success or a cautionary tale? Share your thoughts as we decode Lee Kuan Yew's nation-building triumph. When Lee Kuan Yew became Prime Minister in 1959, Singapore was a mess. A British colony until 1963, it faced unemployment, housing shortages, and ethnic clashes between Chinese, Malays, and Indians. Independence in 1965, after ejection from Malaysia, left it vulnerable. No natural resources, no farmland, just 224 square miles of swamp and slums. Disease was rampant. Half the population lived in squalor. The port, Singapore's lifeline, was plagued by corruption and labor strikes. Regional neighbors eyed the island warily, and communism loomed as a threat. Lee, then 35, saw a nation on the brink. His childhood in Japanese-occupied Singapore and legal training at Cambridge shaped his resolve. He knew survival demanded order and innovation. The stakes were existential. Build a nation or collapse into chaos. Lee's early moves, cracking down on corruption and uniting a fractured society, set the stage for a radical transformation. His vision wasn't just survival, it was to make Singapore a global exemplar of progress. Lee Kuan Yew's ascent was forged in crisis. Born in 1923 to a middle-class Chinese family, he endured Japan's brutal occupation during World War II, scavenging for food and dodging death. His brilliance earned him a scholarship to Cambridge, where he studied law and absorbed Western governance models. Returning to Singapore, he co-founded the People's Action Party, PAP, in 1954, blending socialist ideals with pragmatic discipline. As a lawyer, he defended trade unions, earning grassroots support. By 1959, at 35, he won elections as prime minister, navigating a volatile mix of communist rivals and ethnic divisions. His fluency in English, Mandarin, and Malay bridged communities, but his ruthless streak, jailing opponents without trial, sparked controversy. Lee's maxim, "order before prosperity," echoed his wartime survival instincts. By 1965, with Singapore independent, Lee stood ready to transform a fragile city-state into a modern nation, unveiling a bold vision: make Singapore a global hub. His first move was eradicating corruption. The Corrupt Practices Investigation Bureau, empowered with sweeping authority, cleaned up government and business. Next, he prioritized housing. The Housing and Development Board, HDB, built high-rise flats, moving 80% of Singaporeans from slums to modern homes by 1985. Education reforms emphasized English and technical skills, creating a workforce for global industries. Lee attracted foreign investment with tax breaks and a business-friendly climate, turning Singapore into a manufacturing and trade hub. His Economic Development Board lured multinationals like Texas Instruments, creating jobs. By 1970, GDP per capita doubled to $1,000. Inspired by visits to Switzerland and Israel, Lee adopted disciplined governance and meritocracy, rejecting populism. His pragmatic mantra, "what works, works," guided policies. While critics called his controls authoritarian, Singapore's clean streets, safe ports, and rising wealth silenced doubters, laying the foundation for a modern nation. Lee Kuan Yew's reforms sparked an economic explosion. From 1965 to 1990, Singapore's GDP grew at 8% annually, rivaling global giants. By 2000, GDP per capita hit $23,000, surpassing many Western nations. The port, once strike-ridden, became the world's busiest by the 1980s, handling global trade. Lee's focus on infrastructure, Changi Airport, opened in 1981, and gleaming skyscrapers made Singapore a financial powerhouse. He courted global banks like HSBC, turning the city into Asia's Wall Street. Education produced engineers and managers, fueling tech and biotech sectors. Lee's Garden City vision transformed swamps into green urban spaces, boosting tourism. tourism. By 1990, unemployment dropped below 2%, and 90% of Singaporeans owned homes. His policies, blending capitalism with state control, defied economic dogma. Yet, success came with trade-offs. Strict labor laws and censorship stirred unease. Still, Lee's formula, stability, meritocracy, investment, turned a resourceless island into a global economic titan, admired and studied worldwide. Kuan Yew made Singapore a global player. His diplomacy balanced East and West, securing allies without entanglement. In the 1970s, he courted U.S. investment while engaging China post-Deng Xiaoping, fostering trade ties. Singapore joined ASEAN, navigating tensions with Malaysia and Indonesia. Lee's 1980s speeches at Harvard and the UN showcased his intellect, earning respect. He positioned Singapore as a neutral hub, hosting summits and trade talks. His 1994 Singapore Challenge speech defended Asian governance, sparking global debate. By 1990, Singapore's GDP reached $36 billion, and its port handled 20% of global shipping. Lee's visits to Japan and Switzerland inspired policies like Changi Airport's excellence. Yet his blunt criticism of neighbors and Western critics stirred friction. His son's paralysis during a 1971 car accident, rumored to be political, hardened his resolve for stability. Lee's diplomacy, pragmatic, unapologetic, made Singapore small but mighty, a model for emerging nations. By 1990, Kuan Yew, nearing 70, prepared Singapore for transition. Stepping down as prime minister, he appointed Goh Chok Tong, staying on as senior minister to guide policy. The PAP's grip held firm, but challenges loomed. Rising costs strained workers, and younger Singaporeans demanded freer speech. Lee's education system, producing top PISA scores, faced pressure to foster creativity over rote learning. Global competition from Hong Kong and Dubai threatened Singapore's edge. Lee pushed for innovation, launching biotech hubs and the Smart Nation initiative. His 1990s speeches warned of complacency, urging adaptability. By 2000, GDP per capita hit $23,000, and Singapore ranked among the least corrupt nations. Yet, inequality and an aging population posed risks. Lee's successors leaned on his formula, stability, meritocracy, but faced a tech-driven world. His wartime survival and Cambridge logic shaped his insistence on planning. Singapore's resilience, built on Lee's vision, faced new tests as his influence lingered. Kuan Yew died in 2015 at 91, leaving a towering legacy. Singapore's GDP per capita reached $56,000. Its skyline rivaled New York's, and its education and healthcare systems topped global rankings. From a $500 GDP per capita in 1965, Lee's policies lifted millions into prosperity. His garden city became a global brand, with Changi Airport winning awards yearly. Yet, his authoritarian streak, censoring media, jailing critics, drew condemnation. Human Rights Watch criticized Singapore's restricted freedoms. Lee argued stability enabled progress, a view echoed by leaders in China and Rwanda. His son, Lee Hsien Loong, became prime minister in 2004, continuing PAP dominance but facing calls for openness. By 2025, Singapore's $400 billion economy and corruption-free governance reflect Lee's vision. His Asian values sparked debates. Was control essential or excessive? Singapore's success inspired nations, but could it evolve without Lee's grip? His story challenges us. Can progress and freedom coexist? Kuan Yew's Singapore remains a paradox, a tiny nation with global clout. His vision, discipline, meritocracy, pragmatism turned swamps into skyscrapers, poverty into wealth. By 2025, Singapore's GDP per capita exceeds $80,000, outpacing most nations. Its port, schools, and airports set global standards. Leaders from Africa to Asia study Lee's model: clean governance, education, and investment. Yet critics warn of its limits. Suppressed dissent and elite favoritism don't scale everywhere. Lee's wartime scars and Cambridge training shaped his belief: order breeds success. Today, under Prime Minister Lawrence Wong, Singapore navigates AI, climate climate change, and global trade wars, building on Li's foundation. Is his legacy a universal blueprint or a unique outlier? Compare it to Deng Xiaoping's China. Both prioritized results over ideology, but at what cost? Share your thoughts. Is Li's Singapore a triumph or a warning?